Calling La Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim Kakadash, the bonus to the apostles of Ellsbury Millstone. Peace, citation of full Shalom. And I'm going to get into this topic right here regarding the employee who killed his boss, which apparently happens to be the president within the company. And, you know, he would be pretty much like a higher level boss, and for the most part, usually a president would be the boss of either middle management or the boss of the vice president within the company. But sometimes, depending on the size of the company, you might have it to where there's a vice president and a president, or maybe the president takes on the role of basically being both a vice president and a president, you know. But it also depends on like the size of the company for, you know, that position to be, you know, handed down. And sometimes the CEO may even play the role of being a president and a CEO. You know, like I said, again, depending on the size of the company. Because, you know, the general hierarchy within the company would be CEO, president, vice president, middle management. Then you got supervisors on the forefront, pretty much, you know, guiding and teaching the regular low-level employees that's on the bottom of the pyramid how to do the work and all that stuff. And if anything, they might have to fill in sometimes for those regular you know, workers on the bottom if there's not enough of them. And usually the supervisors will pretty much benefit off of the ones on the bottom, and they're the ones that will pretty much do a lot of the managing and, you know, the workers on the bottom of them, you know, to give them a little bit more you know, of a rest and a break. So, and let me see, it says right here in the title for the New York Post, it says employee allegedly stabbed company boss in the middle of meeting in possible copycat crime in wake of United Healthcare CEO killing. December 19, 2024, 2:53 p.m. It says a Michigan man allegedly stabbed the president of the company where he works in a possible copycat attack of the execution style killing of United Health boss Brian Thompson, police said. Eric Denslow, who runs the Muskegon-based Anderson Express Inc. manufacturing company, was stabbed during a staff meeting in the firm's office on Tuesday, according to a statement from the Fruitport Township Police Department. Law enforcement officials did not name Denslow as the victim, but his identity was later reported by a local news outlet, News 8 and Fox 17. He is listed in critical condition after being hospitalized, though police say he is expected to survive. Eric Denslow, president of Anderson Express Inc., was stabbed on Tuesday during a staff meeting. Nathan Mahoney, 32, has been charged in stabbing. Nathan Mahoney, a 32-year-old employee of the firm, was taken to custody. He was identified by local media outlets that cited police and court documents. Deputy Police Chief Greg Poulsen told News 8 that no motive has been established as of yet, though the investigators are not ruling out the possibility that this was a copycat of the fatal shooting of United Health CEO Brian Thompson, 50 years old, in Manhattan on December 4th. I think that comes to everyone's mind, and this time we're going through all his social accounts, all his electronic media, and trying to determine a motive for this act, Poulsen told the outlet. Mahoney was arraigned on Wednesday on charges of assault with intent to murder and fleeing a police officer, according to People magazine. He's being held on $500,000 bond and a $1,000 bond for the charges, respectively. According to investigators, Denslow was stabbed in the side with a knife. The suspect then fled the scene in his vehicle, police said. Officers apprehended the suspect about 15 minutes after the stabbing. Mahoney's co-workers told police that he had a quiet demeanor at work. Denslow has been president of Anderson Express for less than 2 years. Within a year of his hiring, he was promoted to president, according to his LinkedIn profile. The local police refused to rule out the possibility that Mahoney was acting as a copycat of alleged killer Luigi Mangione, who has been charged in the fatal shooting of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The company, which works with the automotive and defense sectors, released a statement saying it was in shock over the incident. Company executives said they are also focused on supporting our employees as they process the senseless assault. The Post has sought comment from Anderson Express Inc. and Mahoney. Luigi Mangione, the alleged killer of Thompson, is believed to have plotted the assassination as far back as August. Mangione was extradited from Pennsylvania to New York City on Thursday. He was due to appear in federal court. So yeah, that's pretty much it on that. And I'll just bring out some scriptures a little while to make this lesson edifying. So yeah, definitely know what I'm gonna bring out. First scripture would be, as we all know, the time period that people are gonna start revolting. The scripture is infamous amongst the brothers. Love to bring this out and lead into anarchy, because that right there is a form of anarchy to some degree, but it's like it's a controlled, let's say more of a low level form of it, because this is a thing that this guy did that was considered to be anarchical, and it's a form of crashing out in a sense, because you just pretty much pull out a whole knife during a meeting and stab the president in the company, and he had pretty much like intentions of killing this guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did that to that man, because probably who knows what type of hell this man has been putting on this guy's life in the company. Who knows if this man has even mentioned about firing that particular guy that made him want to stab him. Who knows if the president has said about the guy certain things to pretty much try to get him effed over, to ended up getting him fired, or leading up to him getting shitted on in the company, because you got some really fucked up higher ups in the company that do all type of crooked shit. They take advantage of the workers on the lower level. They take them for granted. They don't consider your labors as anything that's beneficial to their company, because they just replace you like a damn robot. So it's like they just pretty much take all the work that you do for granted, and they're not appreciative of anything you do. It's like they just want more out of you. And then it's like, once you can't do any much more work for them, they just basically get you replaced. They don't honor you. They don't pretty much have anything to give you any type of proper recognition or respect. But it really depends on the company, of course, if they, do those things for low level workers. Sometimes they may do little things to keep you there as a worker longer, do little things to kind of get you to feel like a comfortable slave. They might do little like parties here and there for certain employees. They might do a little certain incentive based rewards, just to keep you as a comfortable slave, to keep you working there longer. Every company got their own little thing they do, but for the most part, companies tend to usually be a little bit more caring to those that's on the top, like the managers, the supervisors, and the pretty much the executives, the higher ups, and things of that nature. Usually the executives will pretty much be on the manager's level sometimes, or they might be a step above the managing level. It depends. But for the most part, that's how it is. They may care more about them than the lower level workers. And it says in 2 Ezra 15, I'm going to start at verse 14. Let me just bring this out once for all. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be a sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of the exercise standing in their power." Yeah, and it's coming to the point where you're going to have people not giving a fuck about, not only the government and the politicians, but they're not going to give a fuck about the higher officials in the company. They don't give a fuck if you are president, CEO, or middle management. You know what I mean? They don't care how many shares you have. You're a big investor in the company and all that nonsense. These people are getting fed up to the point where they're starting to see that the ones who run the company and the workers that's considered to have, like, let's say, a higher position within the company, where they're making all these legislations within the company, they're the ones that's behind calling the shots on what goes on in the company, certain policies and regulations. And the lower workers on the bottom, they're seeing that they're not being cared about. They're struggling to make a living. They have to live as roommates, right? Because it's so hard to make ends meet. And then at the same time, it's like they can hardly bring food on the table, and they got probably kids that they gotta feed. Some of them may have a vehicle that might be in the process of getting repossessed and things of that nature. So there's so much issues that they're going through. And plus, at the same time, they're paying taxes like fucking crazy. So, and they're not even making enough to make ends meet. So the only thing that's gonna come into their mind is eventually doing some grimy crash out, things. And for the most part, this whole thing of drill music is a form of, crashing out in a sense, because they're just promoting crime through the music. And you even have it to where now the worst form of music is crash out music, and that's apparently a trendy music nowadays, especially amongst this newer generation, amongst Gen Z, pushing that out for the most part. So it's like, what's that telling you right there? And then now you see on the news that this guy happens to stab his president within the company, and during a meeting. And usually during a meeting, you wouldn't really expect that these things could happen, So now it's coming to the point where they may even have to enforce maybe metal detectors for all the workers within the company to have to go through scanning. Just saying, if you have people that are employees within a company that's finna try to pull some crazy shit off like this, And I'm telling you, as the years go by, as time goes by, especially in 2025 at some point, this is going to be the new wave. I feel like it's going to be more people trying to come after you, you higher ups within the companies that taking advantage of these low level workers. You want to fuck around with their money. You want to fuck around with their hours. You know what I'm saying? You want to push all these harsh policies to fuck around with the workers that's in the company. You want to do some, unfair tactics, to fuck with your lower level workers, And the sad thing is, you have Esau, doing this to his own people. And some of his own people are under the category of being a low-level peon, within the company, being one of those low-level workers that can hardly make ends meet. And that's too bad for them any damn way, because, this is your kingdom, and we don't give a fuck about Esau. But for the most part, you're going to see a real clash between the middle class, the low class, and the upper middle class, and the upper class, you know what I'm saying? And it's going to be like a real clash between, different socioeconomic classes, social class war, so to say. And that's part of the sedition amongst men, because you have it to where the higher ups in the company don't give a fuck about the ones on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? And they lay people off like it's nothing. They want to downsize, to save more money for the company. And, this is what the CEO may decide and things of that nature. And pretty much it gets to the point where, one thing about people is like, they hate being pretty much taken as a fool. And it's to the point where people have been so docile and so stupid, and they've been so much against each other. Now that they're seeing that, these things are going to be a trend in the news, where you got people that's unaliving their bosses or even unaliving their landlords, they're going to start doing this thing too, And this is a form of crashing out, because it's like they just say enough is enough. You know what I mean? Because it's like America at one point wasn't this hard, where you had to work so hard to make ends meet. And it's like the harder you work, it's like you ain't even making any ends meet. You're just paying certain bills that you are backed up on. And then it's like it's to the point where Americans are now struggling which bills to pay first, which bills are more important to pay. How did this country go from you having, enough money to where you could save up and make some moves with it, you know what I mean? Like in the 90s or early 2000s or so. Where things weren't really that bad. America in its glory years. And you can't forget the 80s, because that was pretty much, of course, the glory years of America too, at that point. Now it's to the point where, people got to end up working overtime. And then, of course, the more you make is the more they tax. And then at the same time, it's like you're pretty much getting scammed. And then even then, it's like you go to school sometimes to get a better job. Even once you get that good job, they want to tax you more because you make more of an income. So it's like you're almost making just as much as a regular low-level worker is making, when after your check comes from all them fucking taxes that's taken out of the gross pay. It's really horrible, man. And sometimes they might even have it to where when you try to apply for help, they claim that you make too much money. And you're like, how the fuck I make too much money when I'm only taking back a certain amount after taxes? It's just not making a lot of sense. But here it is now, when you commit crime, now they want to think that to yourself that, oh, they gotta lock you away, they gotta charge you with this crime and all this nonsense. It's like, yo, this shit makes no fucking sense. And if anything, the real criminals are the banks, and the politicians. And these greedy, corrupt business owners that's making a living off of putting people in all this oppression. And that's part of the Hegelian dialect, The thesis will be the rich, getting richer, and the poor. And the antithesis will be the poor getting poorer. And then, they basically are, benefiting off the poor, while the poor is pretty much working so hard to making a living. And they're the ones that's making these companies thrive more and more just by working harder. And in the end, they're getting more depressed and more stressed about doing these things. And then bring up Proverbs 28, verse 15. It says, as a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. And that's basically what Esau is, man, even to his own, which is sad. You got people over here trying to make a living, trying to do things that the government says to do, and then it's like it's still not enough. People shouldn't have to be working this hard and to just live life, and then at the same time, they don't even have enough to travel, enough money to even travel. And they're forced to live in apartment buildings, forced to deal with all type of noisy tenants that live around them. There's just so much hell that people gotta be forced to put up with. And then it's like, sometimes it feels like even when you work hard to make it to the next level in your life, where let's say you graduated school, you got a job that you you won and stuff like that. It's almost like you going through another challenge again and again. And these people are fed up with that. And that's what Esau wants, is that he wants these people to eventually crash out so he could create order out of chaos. This is what it's leading up to. Because people are just not going to stay stupid and dumb forever. They're going to eventually revolt. And that's when Esau is going to, of course, bring his martial law in that time. So, yeah. And for somebody killing a CEO, or even for someone trying to unalive a president within a company, yeah, you at that point really don't have much to live for. You know what I'm saying? Because, that's one of the forms of crashing out in general, is when you just want to unalive someone just because you're so tight that, you can hardly maintain your spirit. And you see these upper elites, these Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and all these other banking family members, they like seeing shit like this. They get off on this, They really get off on the public, on the people, warring against, each other. This is what they do, and this is what they like to see. And it's going to come to the point where they're going to do this to the judges. They're going to do this to maybe even certain police officers that are considered to be lieutenants, and even sergeants within the police academy. Because a lot of times, in order for them to move up, they had to meet their quota by giving out a certain amount of tickets, even doing corrupt shit like planting drugs, giving false charges to regular citizens that didn't even necessarily do a particular crime. You know what I mean? And they're also responsible for getting certain people arrested for shit that they didn't even do. Just sometimes maybe even being around the wrong place in the wrong time. You know what I mean? And they do shit like that. And very soon these people are just going to get fed up because they're tired of living an unfair life, and they're going to try to make life fair for themselves at once. That's why you have Second 15 and 16 written down. Because these people, they ain't going to be playing by your stupid rules anymore. When the rules are unfair, you mean to tell me you got millionaires and billionaires and these upper elites, which are, these banking family members, they don't play by the rules. They basically break the rules, and they're the ones that making the rules, in a sense. And the rules are meant for you low-level peons, you average American citizens out there. You pretty much, you 99% or so. Those are the rules are made for. So basically, the 1%, the banking family members, they're the ones that make the rules, and they don't live by them. But let me bring out this other precept right here. It says in Psalm chapter 10, verse 8, it says, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by the strong ones. He hath said in his heart, Yahweh hath forgotten. He hideth his face, you will never see it. And you see, one thing about these punk ass Edomites that are on high, and even within a company that represent as CEOs and vice presidents and middle management and all that shit, they directly themselves are not going to be the ones to go up and let somebody go, but they will have someone to set it up to where they're gonna pretty much get rid of you. You know what I mean? And they give you that whole, probably the email or so of some bullshit on how they want to let you go. You know what I mean? They do that type of corrupt shit. And then it's like, at the same time, they have it so set up to where it's not one person that's responsible for doing it, but it's more of like a group of people, and they ain't gonna let you know who was behind and doing it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you got a group of people that you know pretty much run this department, and then it's like, you know, one of them decided to let you go and give you, you know, let's say the termination or so. Or even if it was a group of them within the department, they just probably just collected the names of who they were deciding to let go, and they just get rid of you just like it's nothing, and don't even have, you know, let's say other connections of people that you could reach out to try to like maybe get back on your feet or so. They just don't care. And people are just tired of that shit, bro, because people got a life to live, they got things to pay for, and they got a family to support, and they trying to survive. So they're gonna take matters in their own hands and do some crazy shit. So it's gonna get to a point in time where you're gonna have, you know, CEOs and these other high, you know, representatives within the company. You're gonna have to probably, you know, pull shiesty up and wear your face mask and, you know, the ski mask, and just move low key. You know, we're gonna have to go in the city, go in the company building or so, and try to probably switch your clothing before you get into a vehicle. You know, you're gonna have to really move very tact in that, in the times to come. And y'all gonna have to also watch who you know, have around you as a friend and all this. You know, watching what y'all post on social media, sleeping with one eye open, one eye closed. Make sure your security's up top notch, because I'm telling you, man, a lot of y'all motherfuckers are gonna really have a lot of angry visitors in that time. You know, and we're approaching a time period where people are becoming more desperate, and they're gonna take, you know, desperate actions. And you know, the saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. And not only for, you know, the other people I mentioned that people are going to be coming after, you know, also, you know, police officers, and not only high representatives within the companies, but you're going to also have it to where they're going to come after you judges too, that been responsible for fucking with Jake, you know, with the child support, you know, with the child custody courts and all that family court shit, where you declared, you know, the woman gets to have custody over the kids, and that the father has to pay child support and all this nonsense, behind locking men up, putting the men in jail, or because they missed on the payment or some shit. You know, reducing bail bonds for fucking women who try to unalive their husband or their boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? That's responsible for pretty much letting women off the hook. You fucking judges that do that shit, while the woman should have been in jail, and instead y'all rule it as a mental illness. Because that's what happened with that other the other video that I brought up about the bitch who tried to kill her boyfriend. The fucking Spanish judge literally reduced her bail from $75,000 to $10,000. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You know, like that boyfriend's life don't mean nothing to the judge, and that bitch is literally a threat to the family of that of her boyfriend, well, which will be her ex now, because you know he don't want to deal with her. But yeah, so you have a lot of people coming after you, fucking corrupt ass motherfuckers, and they're gonna finally do what they should have done, you know, a long time ago. So yeah, so with that, I hope it made us edifying. Let's give all glory, praise, and honor to Adonai Yahweh Bashem Shalom Malak Yahweh Shabbat Shalom Kakadash. The honest apostle Elsker Millstone, peace out, teaching, hopefully, Shalom.